Hey guys, today I'm reacting to Geography Now, South Africa. Now, just before we begin, what I know about South Africa is it had sort of a racist past. With the apartheid going on for a while, and segregation and such. It was not the best there. And nowadays, I've heard there was a water crisis and such. I'm hoping the country's doing a lot better. What else have I heard? I think talk show host is from South Africa, like Trevor Noah. Yeah, and then of course the famous activist and one of the, I think, democratically elected leaders from South Africa, Nelson Mandela, of course, great activist. I know they speak, I think, Xhosa, Afrikaans, and English in South Africa. That's pretty cool though. Language diversity is nice. They should keep all the languages and teach them. And I think there was a bit of a water crisis. What else? I think they have 3 capitals as well. Yeah. Anyway, that's my basic knowledge of South Africa, at least. I know there's a lot more, but let's get started. Let's see what Bobby has to offer in Geography Now, South Africa. And nice shirt too, with the flag.
Okay, let's see if I got this.
Oh, this is Xhosa. Oh, neat.
It's time to learn geography.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Once again, this shirt was made by Geography Ruba from UnityShirtsShop.com. She makes these cool handmade African flag logo shirts. Oh, and she specifically made this one with the Geography Now logo in the back for me. Oh, thank you, Ruba. Oh, and don't forget, you can also get Geography Now merchandise at geographynow.com. Just a heads up. Anyway, South Africa. This is a big one. South Africa is kind of a big deal in Africa in general. And you know what else is a big deal? Having an actual South African in the episode. Say hi to Catherine from South Africa. Come on in.
Oh, that's cool.
My people there are just the best people in the world, and it will always be home, no matter where I live.
All right, well, you ready to get into this episode, Catherine?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
So South
Oh yeah, and South Africa might be part of the Commonwealth. I'm not sure, but I think it is.
South Africa has always played a historically imperative role when it came to expeditions from early traders, and you can probably guess why.
For one, the country lies at the bottom of the continent of Africa, bi-coastal between the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. In fact, the southernmost point of the African continental mainland, Cape Agulhas, has a cool spot you can check out with a plaque and a giant Africa map monument. From there, they are bordered by 6
And if you think about it, this location at the end of Africa is quite a unique trading hub. Like if you're going between Asia and Europe, or Asia and the Americas, quite a good trading destination to stop and refuel and such.
Other countries, don't forget little Eswatini and the entirely enclaved country of Lesotho. From there,
especially like India, South Africa, then Europe, the Americas.
Country is divided into 9 provinces. The country doesn't have one
That's neat.
official capital, but rather 3. Pretoria, which holds the executive branch.
Yeah, it was 3 capitals, Pretoria. I think the other one's like Blumenthal, something like that.
Including the home of the president, as well as most of the embassies for international diplomats. The legislative branch is
so they each serve a different purpose, I'm guessing.
held in Cape Town, where you can find the national parliament.
I've voted for Cape Town before.
And second largest city in the country, and Bloemfontein, near the center of the
Yeah, my pronunciation was, my guess was a bit wrong, but it was somewhat close, I guess.
Country hosts the judicial branch and the Supreme Court of Appeal. Some say technically Johannesburg could also be considered maybe a 4th capital, because
I've definitely heard of Johannesburg.
It has the Constitutional Court, and the city has a huge level of significance as the largest and busiest city of the country. Then, you decide. Johannesburg also hosts the biggest and busiest airport in South Africa, OR Tambo International, whereas the 2nd and 3rd largest airports lie respectively in the 2nd and 3rd largest cities, Cape Town, and Durban's King Shaka International. The country has a wide network of roadways and the most well-developed rail system in all of Africa. Johannesburg
That's good. Rail systems are important.
Being the main central hub that spiderwebs all the other main lines that stretch into every other province and abroad into neighboring countries. South Africa also boasts incredible seafaring infrastructure, with the second busiest container port in all of Africa, after Port Said in Egypt, the port of Durban, which provides 60% of all South Africa's shipping revenue. Finally, South Africa's island or insular region are mostly confined to small patches along the coasts, like the Port Elizabeth Bay or Robben Island just north of Cape Town, famous for being the spot where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned. However, if we include the entire domain belonging to South Africa, then Prince Edward and Marion Island, which belong to the Western Cape Province, are the actual southernmost points of the African continent. These islands are mostly uninhabited, with the exception of a meteorological station and bunkers for scientists. Yeah, and the southernmost point on Marion Island, it's called Cape Hooker. Literally, it is.
So, okay, you're probably wondering, why isn't Lesotho part of South Africa?
Yeah, why?
I've heard of Lesotho. Yeah, that's like the landlocked nation in South Africa. But I guess that'd be a good question.
Well, long story short, it was kind of like...
UK! Okay, if you help me kick his ass, I'll be one of your protectorates.
You got a deal. I got him. Woo! Hey, your king died, and we want to make you a part of the Cape Colony.
Oh no, I'll just stick with protectorate.
Well, we don't like that.
Okay, well I guess that means we'll spend the next 14 years resisting and giving you a headache.
Deal. We give up. We'll give you guys self-rule as a separate crown colony.
You guys suck, but whatever. It's better than being part of the Cape Colony.
South Africa is now going to become its own country, and we want you to be in it.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, come on. We're going to have very tense, racially divisive apartheid policies that will disenfranchise your people.
Okay, how do you see that as conducive to the benefit of my people?
Oh, yeah, I don't. All right, well, enjoy your self-rule.
Good on them, honestly. Fuck yeah, they get self-rule. Amazing.
And from there, it pretty much sealed the deal that Lesotho would never join South Africa. Anyway!
Now,
that's fucking great.
Here's the interesting thing. Even though South Africa is a republic, the constitution includes the traditional leadership clause, which recognizes the certain indigenous monarchs.
Yeah, today there are about 13 monarchs from 9 different ethno-linguistic groups and tons of other smaller paramounts and high chiefs in South Africa.
Although they do not have direct legislative power to the republic, they have a high degree of regional influence and involvement in communal affairs.
Sadly, shortly before filming this episode, Zulu King Goodwill Zwelithini passed away. He ruled for
I've definitely heard of the Zulu. Yeah.
5 decades and had a huge role of significance in the Zulu community.
Wow.
Maybe there's other Zulu. I mean, like I know Shaka Zulu, but I'm pretty sure wasn't that in West Africa? I'm not sure. It seems. Was the king of the Zulu kingdom? Oh. Interesting. In present day Melmoth. Okay, so it is South Africa. Okay. Because I've heard of Shaka Zulu, so I was wondering if that was related to the Zulu people. Just because the Zulu at the end of the name. So I guess it sort of was. Zulu Kingdom. And the Zulu Kingdom is in South Africa. Okay. Neat.
Wow, he was a king.
A king. Well, in any case, let's talk about some of the top notable spots, and let's have South African influencer and travel writer Gofari do it for us. Gofari, take it away.
Hey everyone, I'm Gofari, a South African travel blogger, and I'm going to talk you through the notable sites to visit in South Africa. So I'm going to talk through the cultural and the man-made sites. We have Blokran's Bridge, which is the highest bridge bungee in the world. We also have many theme parks like Gold Reef City, the Palace of the Lost City, and Ushaka Marine World. Ponte Tower, District 6 Museum, the world's largest pineapple, the Big Hole, Orlando Towers, Baobab Tree Bar. We have 10 UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Oh damn, that's cool. And Mount Mandela's house, that's neat.
Such as Mapungubwe and also Robben Island, which is where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned. Thank you.
Oh.
Thanks, Gofari. You are awesome. Check out her Instagram and pages in the links in the description below.
But yeah, South Africa's natural wonders, you won't even know where to begin with. Like, they have the largest cave system in Africa, the Congo Caves, Borgslack's potholes, the tallest waterfall in Africa.
Two-Leg Falls. Some say this is the tallest in the world.
And it just goes on and on.
Whoa! Hold your horses, Catherine. That's the nature stuff. We're gonna talk about that in the next segment. The next segment, which is. So, South Africa. One word: blessed.
For one, the country is a low-risk malaria nation, and most areas in the wilderness don't even require medication.
That's good. I mean, compared to other parts of Africa, especially more in the interior and such, that's good if they have a low risk. Because I've heard malaria is quite the problem in West Africa.
They even have their own unique biome called fynbos, the smallest and the richest of the 6 floral kingdom in the world.
Oh,
Only
neat.
found in southern Africa with over 6,000 endemic plant species, including the national flower, which is the king protea. When I think of South Africa, that's what I see in my mind always.
Specifically fynbos.
Specifically fynbos, yes. It's also home to the rooibos plant where rooibos tea comes from, and that's my favorite tea.
Rooibos.
Neat.
Yes, it's amazing.
Red.
Overall, you literally can't find anywhere that looks like South Africa.
For one, the country is unlike any other nation in that it's not only the southernmost portion of the East African Rift, but the entire country is kind of split between a semicircle mountain range known as the Great Escarpment. It feeds into the tallest range, the Drakensberg Mountains, in the east, where you can find the tallest peak, Mafadi, shared with Lesotho. These mountains are also the source of the long
Lesotho? Was I pronouncing wrong saying Lesotho? Lesotho?
longest river in the country, the Orange River, which ends in the Atlantic Ocean. South Africa doesn't have many large natural lakes, and the majority of inland bodies of water are man-made reservoirs, the largest one being the Harip Dam, located in the center of the country. The largest natural freshwater lake, though, is speculated to be Sibayi, part of KwaZulu-Natal's Greater St. Lucia Wetland Park on the east coast, a UNESCO heritage site. If you zoom out a little bit, you'll notice the Great Escarpment has these sharp, narrow, parallel wrinkles at the bottom. These are called the Cape Mountains, which are essentially leftover sediments smashed by contrasting tectonic activity long ago when South Africa was connected to Argentina and Antarctica in the Gondwana supercontinent. Above these wrinkles, you have the Great Karoo, Namakaland, Bushmanland, and Calamari, which are dry, arid, rocky areas, sparsely populated and loaded with rich flora of succulent plants and minerals. If you move more east and north of the escarpment, you have the Eastern Midlands, KwaZulu-Natal coast, sweeping up to the Lowveld and the Limpopo Lowveld in the north. These are the most lush and green areas of South Africa and hold much of the arable land as well as nature and forest preserves. When you move inland, though, you get the Highvelds, the Bushveld, and Griqualand West, which are the arid savannas of South Africa. This is probably one of the most unique areas of South Africa because it is the site where two things happened. One, an enormous meteor hit this spot, creating the largest verified impact crater on Earth, known as the Fredford Crater, extending over 300 kilometers wide. You can even see the dome from space at the town of Fredford. And two, said meteor was supposedly the source of many minerals like gold and platinum that fed the land, which later the inhabitants would subsequently discover and go crazy after in a mad gold rush and mining rush.
Now, although South Africa is the second largest economy in Africa after Nigeria, it is ranked the most industrialized, technologically advanced, and economically diversified.
And although the country does have a wide income gap between the wealthy and poor, the middle class has been growing every year since the 90s.
Today, South Africa is one of the world's top platinum and chromium producer. They consistently rank in the top 10 producers of gold and diamonds as well.
And finally, the gold rush in
Witwatersrand
in 1886 pretty much established the country as a mineral powerhouse.
That's why it's only about 5% of the population is formally employed in farming.
This means they've shifted much of their economic activity towards other sectors like manufacturing, business, and finance.
That's good,
Today,
that's good.
JSE Limited is the
Farming is not that profitable. So if you can get a lot of farming done with less of the population, that's usually a good thing. Like that's pretty much the US has done. Not a lot of the population is in the agriculture sector, but it's still very productive just because of technology and such. At least from my understanding.
largest stock exchange in Africa, ranking 17th in the world with over trillions of dollars of investment revenue.
South Africa also boasts some of the best medical facilities in Africa and has the third largest hospital in the world.
Sadly,
That's
though,
good.
South Africa does have the highest population of people infected with HIV at over 7.5 million and fourth in the world per population ratio.
There's even a character on their version of Sesame Street who has HIV to help kids born with AIDS to cope. And finally, the country has a huge tourism industry, mostly in the nature areas. Speaking of nature, it's
Yeah, South Africa seems pretty damn beautiful.
time for Gary Harlow to explain.
Gary Harlow's Animal Adventure. That's the best I got. South Africa is home to over 20 national parks and dozens of nature reserves, the most famous and visited ones being the Table Mountain National Park and the largest one, Kruger National Park in the northeast. South Africa is ranked the 6th out of the 17 classified megadiverse countries in the world, 10th for
That's pretty
plant
cool.
species and 3rd for marine endemism. In fact, between May to July, the sardine run happens in which billions of sardines spawn in the cool waters of the Agulhas Bank, creating a feeding frenzy for all the ocean predators. Look at them go,
Damn.
chomping. Jaws. And there's over 850 bird species, including the national bird, the blue crane. But more interesting, South Africa and Namibia are the only two countries in Africa that host penguins. The endangered African or Cape penguin is...
That's pretty cool. Penguins, yeah. I knew there were penguins in South America. Like, I knew penguins were pretty much like only found in the south of the world. I think it's like a stereotype, like a myth that just penguins in like in the north, but there's really no penguins, I'm pretty sure. So I have heard of like penguins in like I think Chile and such. That's cool. There's also penguins in Africa.
Unique in that it has pink glands above its eyes to help regulate body temperature, since South Africa is generally much warmer than the typical habitat for penguins like, Antarctica. There's nearly 300 mammal species inhabiting the wilderness, including the national animal, the springbok. There's even an entire national park dedicated to elephants in the south. And finally, South Africa is not only home to many animals, but also extinct animal fossils. The Karoo region has more dinosaur fossil sites than any other place in the country, and numerous dinos have been excavated. And speaking of dinos, I got a velociraptor. Wrap this up.
Thank you, Gary.
And speaking of wraps, it's time to end off the segment as we always do.
Whoa, what's going on? Oh.
Food! Alright, let's roll. South Africa has so many unique dishes, but one thing is guaranteed. You will see meat on almost every menu. No shocker, they are the largest meat producer in Africa. In any case, here are some of the top dishes you guys suggested. Poppenvorst, milk tart, frikadelle, bunny chow.
Oh yeah, I want to try some South African food.
Cooked sisters, malva pudding, hoiki kos, fat cakes, mopani worms, savory pies, Cape Malay curry, babua tea, biltong. The Western Cape province has some of the most refined wineries in the world, starting all the way back to 1659. And supposedly Route 62 is the longest wine route in the world, going over 850 kilometers long. And of course, many might argue the national dish would be braai, or South African style barbecue, cooked over wood flames.
Whoa, Noah, you're back. Okay, cool. Thanks, Noah.
Oh, and don't forget to get some burgers from Wimpy's and a rib meal from Steers on Wacky Wednesday. And make sure that you go to Spur. Spur has the 2-for-1 special on Mondays.
And speaking of the people of South Africa, I think that means we should probably move on to the next segment.
I don't know about the symbol of that place, but
the people of South Africa, I think
interesting.
that means we should probably move on to the next segment. Now, I asked you guys, the South African geography peeps, what it means to be South African. And here are some things you guys said.
Being South African is very nice because we have so many different types of traditional groups where everyone is celebrating.
We come from a beautiful country. We're full of cultural diversity. And of course, we truly epitomize the Rainbow Nation.
To be South African means to live in the most beautiful country in the world and to be part of the most vibrant and energetic group of people.
We're quite resilient when it comes to the challenges we face. As well, they have got a strong sense of pride.
Living in a post-apartheid era, I feel that we have a lot of unity, we have a lot of strength, and we are really heroes for the challenges that we face every week and that we overcome, and we always find a way to remain in the game and strong.
It's an absolute miracle. If you got to see the 2019 Rugby World Cup in Japan and seeing how diverse and incredible South African athletes were, it's ever changing, it's always evolving. Damn. So many different art movements and interesting things going on. It's an incredible thing.
I am especially appreciative of the fact that I don't have to travel far to experience something different. Each of its 9 provinces are so unique in their landscapes, in their cultures, in their flavors. So that's what makes it such a fun and exciting place to be.
Thank you guys. What about you, Catherine?
Well, I would say that every weekend is a jol.
Joel? What was that?
Jol.
What is that?
So if you're going to go for a jol, you're going to go for a party, and it's going to be like a really insane night. Like if you're going to go jol, you're going to go like really hard that night.
Okay. Now, as you will find out, South Africa is very diverse in terms of ethno-linguistic people groups.
Let's start with the pie chart, shall we?
The country has about 60 million people and has the largest white and Asian populations.
Oh, white and Asian. Interesting. Didn't know about the Asian. Thought it was mostly white and African, so that's pretty cool.
And percentages per population in all of Africa. The country is made up predominantly of black Africans at about 80%. However,
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. They are the natives, yeah.
Keep in mind, of this 80%, there are many groups. Zulus and Xhosa are the largest ones at about 23% and 16%, followed by the northern Sotho and Tswana at about 9% and 8%.
Neat.
And from there's a bunch of other groups, but we'll talk about them later in this episode. For the remaining 20% of the population, the white South Africans and coloreds have almost identical populations at somewhere around 9% each. Keep in mind though, amongst the white population, about 60% of them are Afrikaners and 35% are English.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Afrikaners are like the Dutch descended. I've heard of Boers. I think Boers are the same people. Boers refer to descendants of the Proto-Afrikaans speaking colonists. Okay. So something like that.
English, the remaining 5 or so percent being other Europeans.
Oh, so there's more Afrikaners than English people. That's cool. Interesting.
The rest of the population is mostly made up of Asians like Indians, Malays, Chinese.
Oh yeah, I think I heard there were some Indians there.
And so on.
So they use the South African rand as their currency, and they also use the M plug outlet, and they also drive on the left side of the road.
Left, former British colony.
Mm-hmm.
And also, somewhere around 80% of the country is Christian, mostly adhering to Protestantism.
So first off, let's clarify some confusing distinctions.
So you heard that word, coloreds. Okay, we Americans might have some horrible pre-civil rights flashbacks when we hear that word, but we assure you, it's totally safe to use.
I'm pretty sure it's just the mixed population of South Africa. Like that's a group that defines themselves like that, sort of.
Use here in South Africa, right? Yeah.
It is totally safe, and I actually did use that word a few times in America, and I didn't know what I was doing until one of my friends that was American, he actually pulled me aside and was like,
no. Now, there's no complete definitive genetic makeup requirement, but colored people are essentially people that are mixed mostly between blacks and whites, although you can also have some Asian in there as well. It's not uncommon.
Basically, yes. After all the mixing, they kind of just...
Yep, I've heard of Trevor Noah. That was one of the... Yeah, I've heard of Trevor Noah, sorry about that, but he was a talk show host. He's kind of funny from some of the stuff I've heard. But yeah, is South Africa part of the Commonwealth? I'm not sure. So the Commonwealth of Nations is a voluntary association of 54 sovereign states. Nearly all of them are former British colonies or dependencies. Yep. So I'm pretty sure South Africa is. South Africa. But I'm not 100% sure if it is. It doesn't exactly say it outright. Okay, so South Africa rejoins the Commonwealth. So it seems like South Africa was a founding member of the Commonwealth. Found itself expelled in 1961 due to internal apartheid policies. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure South Africa is part of the Commonwealth nowadays. Anyway, let's continue the video.
Made a new race.
Sarah Tishkoff, a geneticist at the University of Pennsylvania, did a genetic study that concluded that the Cape Coloreds of South Africa have the highest levels of mixed ancestry in the world.
So yeah, they're literally the children of the earth.
And that other word, Afrikaner,
that's pretty cool.
What is that?
Well, long story short, they're descended from the people brought in by the Dutch settlers in the 1600s. Keep in mind though, only about 40% of Afrikaners are directly Dutch descended, and the rest are mostly German and French.
Dutch and Afrikaans are about 90 to 95% mutually intelligible. South Africa has about 35 indigenous languages, but 11 official languages.
Anyway, these 11 languages are divided into 5 families. And of the languages, English is the preferred language of the intercommunication between all peoples. And most South Africans are fluent in at least 2 or 3 languages.
You with English and Afrikaans, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it kind of like really appreciated when a black South African sees a white South African speaking their language?
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is. And that's something that I have not mastered. We are taught Xhosa in school, for example, it isn't to the degree that Afrikaans is taught. You don't really become fluent. Like I can understand certain things, but not a lot.
Yeah, I think Port Elizabeth was changed to Kaipela or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. You said that good.
Practicing
that was good.
Yeah. And yes, many of the Nguni languages like Zulu and Xhosa have the click sounds. And
These clicks were actually borrowed though. See, of the black Africans, the majority are Bantu. Believe it or not, they are not the original inhabitants of South Africa. Archaeological evidence suggested that they migrated somewhere estimated around the 3rd century AD.
The Khoikhoi and San people, often collectively called the Khoisan, make up less than 1% of the population.
I've heard of Khoisan people, yeah.
And they are the earliest known inhabitants with ancestors dating back somewhere around 100 to 200,000 years, making them speculated to be some of the oldest peoples on Earth. They have the original click languages. Quick history lesson.
Over time, the Bantus came in and dominated with their iron tools and farming practices.
And although they displaced many of the Khoisan, anthropologists and sociologists speculate that there must have been some intermingling because the click consonants were adopted in their languages.
Over a millennium later, the Dutch were first Europeans to come in and establish Cape Town and then brought in their farmers known as Boers.
Meanwhile, hundreds of miles east, Shaka Zulu was unifying most of the Nguni tribes in the early 19th century and drove out many of the rival tribes like the Matabele, Makololo, and the Fengu. This was known as the Mfetene, or the Great Crushing and Displacement.
Enter the British. This is where the story gets really complicated, so here's a quick cutaway to help.
I'm taking Cape Town while the Netherlands has problems in Europe.
Well, I'm just gonna go run away then and make my own republics in the north.
Get out! You're not even from this continent!
Make me.
Oh, I'll make you! Oh,
hey! Bollocks! There's like a ton of gold and diamonds in your new republic areas. Move over!
Hell no!
Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into that, but basically it was a chain of weird multi-leveled, multi-party, multi-ethnic battles and subjugation.
In addition to the countless native Bantus killed in wars, there were 2 Boer wars between the British and Afrikaners, which led to 10% of the white Afrikaner population being killed. So you had one European power subjugating another European group on a continent neither were native to, all dealing with the natives.
So, in a nutshell,
I want the land.
I was here centuries before you.
I was here over a millennium before you.
Seriously, are we really doing this?
In any case, after the country gained independence in 1910 as a union and fully sovereign in 1931, it underwent a controversial period of apartheid, or apartheid, in 1948 all the way up to 1994.
This system essentially divided peoples by racial lines and put strict laws that were obviously racist and not like, equivalent to, certain extreme factions of microaggression culture that blames pretty much everything on racism. I mean, like, literally, it was actually written, approved, and enacted in legal policy racist.
Under the homeland system, most of the black population was concentrated in the ethno-states called Bantustans, where only 13% of the land was reserved for the majority of the black populace to have property in.
Rules and services were different for colored people as well, and the Asian minorities. It was very complicated and often arbitrarily drawn. Some of the colored people were allowed in parliament in the 70s and some weren't. Some minorities were labeled in the same group as coloreds, while some, like the Lebanese, Taiwanese, Koreans, Japanese, they all shared actually the same classification level for whites. It was confusing and weird, yeah.
Eventually after...
Yeah, it sounds a bit like the system that the other guy implemented in World War II.
A number of factors pressured them. Apartheid ended with full democratization for blacks in 1994, and that's when things got very incredibly tense.
See, in Africa, a transition of power like that usually goes one of 2 ways. 1, a spiteful uprising from the native black population built on vengeance that seeks to dispose most of the white population and expropriate everything from them. Or, number 2, find a way to move forward as one people with a new system built on forgiveness, acknowledging that it will be awkward and difficult, but peace cannot come from a bitter heart.
Today, of course, it's still a very complicated issue and there's no universal narrative and everyone agrees with, and yes, controversial incidents still occur.
Crime is still high in certain areas due to social stress and poverty, and yes, there's the whole BEE movement thing, which started as a program aimed to integrate the black population into the workforce, but it has a lot of controversial undertones, and with implementation, I'm sure you could probably say a lot of stuff about that, yes. You and the other South Africans.
Then there's the energy crisis or load shedding issue. You'll actually wake up in the morning and you'll get a message on your phone because we have an app that will tell you it's from 6 a.m. to maybe like 2 p.m. you won't have any energy at all.
At least they have an app that warns you. So
that's new. That's new. We didn't always have that.
Oh, okay.
It was very recent.
They're working on it.
Yes.
But the point is, there's so much stuff. If you guys want to write about it in the comments, if you're from South Africa, I implore you to have a civil discussion, which I know on YouTube is almost impossible. But
I don't know. Watch the movie Invictus if you want to get an idea on how it started.
Oh, and speaking of Invictus, let's move on to a lighter note. Let's talk about the sport.
Oh, Roman sort of, I guess, or Latin name, you could say. Yeah. Actually, I'm pretty sure in like classical Latin you'd pronounce it Invictus. But anyway, let's continue the video.
Here's Art with the sports part.
Hey guys. Whoa. Hey guys. Hey guys, it's me and Tarchin, we're back!
Spice.
Alright, I gotta put Tarchin down so we can start. Specifically rugby. Their national team, the Springboks, have won the World Cup 3 times, tied with New Zealand. In fact, South Africa is one of only 2 countries that has hosted the soccer, rugby, and cricket World Cups. In fact, they are actually the only African country to host the Soccer World Cup so far. Fun fact, South Africans are actually one of the only countries that, like us Americans, also call...
Oh yeah, neat, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure it's the US, Canada, South Africa, and US, Canada, South Africa. Maybe Australia, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's pretty neat. And I think Japan as well.
Call football soccer. Cheers to you guys. Soccer! Makes no sense, but we're together in our wrongness.
Well, I mean, soccer comes from like the association of football, I think, something like that. So it's an abbreviation for something for I think the association of football, something like that. Let's see, soccer origin. I'm pretty sure the British invented this abbreviation though. What's the origin of the word soccer? Yeah, the word soccer comes from an abbreviation for association, from association football, the official name for the game, plus the addition of the suffix "er". This suffix, originally rugby school slang and then adopted by Oxford University, was appended to shortened nouns. Okay. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the Irish call football call soccer because they have rugby. So the Irish call rugby football, I've heard, and that's why they call football or soccer. Anyway, it's kind of a confusing subject. Let's get back to the video.
Otherwise, cricket is probably the 3rd most popular sport, and their national team, the Proteas, usually ranks in the world's top 10 best teams. Otherwise, at the Olympics, they've done pretty well in the swimming and athletics department, racking up 26 gold medals so far. Gold is better than silver. They've also been tennis powerhouses as well. Johan Kriek won 2 Australian Grand Slam titles in the 80s. That's a big deal. In certain areas, you might find a touch of Dutch with things like korfball. Also originating in South Africa is ringball, which is basically another variation of korfball. Ukske is a traditional Afrikaner sport similar to horseshoes, in which you have to knock over a peg on the ground from a distance. And many of the native peoples have their own style of martial arts. The most renowned probably being the Nguni stick fighting, or Donga, performed mostly by the Zulu or the Alt. I can't do it. That was horrible. Osa people.
That was better, yeah.
Okay, and that's it for me. I'm gonna get the out of here. I'll see ya.
Thank you, Art.
And South Africa is also really well known for its surfing. And if you ever just want to watch a competition and have a great joel, you can go to JBay. Yes, exactly. That's what would happen.
So, as we mentioned, South Africa has a huge diversity of ethno-linguistic people groups. We already made a video explaining about some of them, but let's just quickly cover the main ones. First, you have the Nguni group. This group includes the cousins Zulus, Xhosas, and the Ndebele peoples.
Zulus are probably the most well-known worldwide. You may have seen images of their traditional animal skin warrior attire or weaponry and dance ceremonies for the men. Women often wear those wide, conical isicholo hats on special occasions.
For the Xhosa, they are kind of like the pacifist siblings of the Zulus. Their traditional garbs have those black and white patterns with beads and red ochre dyed blanket coverings.
Ndebele are like the artists, known for their colorful patterns, painted houses. The symbols are unique to each family. And they are also the bead experts, and they'll flaunt heavy beaded neck and leg ornaments on special occasions. Finally, the Swazi people are basically cousins to the people of the Eswatini Cuisine, known for honoring their kings with mklanga or reed dance.
Then we have the Sotho group, made up of the Sotho, the Tswana, and the Sepedi peoples.
They're all relatives to the people of Lesotho and Botswana, and many of them are mountain people. You can see lots of them riding horses and wearing makorotlo hats and Basotho blankets as temperatures are generally colder with high elevations.
The Tswana people have 8 major clans, and they love the color blue, especially with the Letishi cloth.
The Songa are known for their many initiation rituals and electric dance style or Songa disco.
The Venda people are some of the most isolated groups in the north, famous for their natural medicines, and the Masangwe, or bare knuckle fist fight sport, which people use to kind of like monitor and solve disputes.
Now for non-Africans, we already explained about the white South Africans. The Afrikaners and the English are unique in the way that they kind of developed their own breakaway Africanized culture from the European ancestors.
What are you, by the way?
I'm English.
Oh, okay.
I am an English through and through.
The colored community has always kind of had a unique status as the somewhat marginalized but not
She's English, but she speaks Afrikaans as well. Interesting.
as marginalized group. They've always kind of had to figure out who they were since they technically didn't fully belong anywhere.
Then you have the Asian community, the largest groups being of the Cape Malays and the Indians, brought over during colonial times for their indentured servitude. The Boerkaap neighborhood of Cape Town is essentially the Malay Quarter, and today their culture is a fascinating mixture that blends elements of Dutch and Asian.
In fact, most of them actually speak Afrikaans as their first language, and the Malay language is almost all but gone.
The Indian
Oh, damn, that's a bit sad though.
was brought in by the British, and Durban has one of the highest population of Indians outside of India. Most were brought over from West and South India, including Gandhi, who spent 21 years living in the area.
Whew, yeah, that was a lot, and that wasn't even scratching the surface. There's so many other people groups we didn't even talk about. But in any case, here's Hannah to explain a little bit more about the few things that South Africa's people have collectively as one entity, eternity. You get the point. Hannah's culture segment. Random Hannah.
Woo! South Africa! Guys, get a Random Hannah shirt at geographynow.com. So, alright, obviously there is no such thing as a single type of South African, but in the end, they are still one country that moves forward to the best of their ability. For one, many of the native ethnic groups, whether Zulu or Venda, follow the lobola system, in which the groom must pay a dowry in cattle to the bride's family. I love the countries where they pay people with cow.
Remember Rwanda?
Yes, I freaked out. I was like, what? There is literally a Lobolo app available now to help relieve the stress of figuring how many cattle you owe. Township art became very popular in the 60s and 70s. It was sort of a social commentary movement that depicted the impoverished black communities of South Africa to move towards the end of apartheid. In addition, you will notice there are so many different architecture styles in South Africa. You have everything from the massive thatched fortified dome huts of Zulu to the Cape Dutch style homes inspired from the Dutch with flat crow-stepped gable roofs. South Africans have also been front runners in many inventions, discoveries, and innovations. For example, the automatic pool cleaner, the CAT scan, putty adhesive, the smart lock safety syringe,
CAT scan,
the world's first heart transplant happened here, the yellow fever vaccine,
Damn.
and they have the biggest optical telescope in the southern hemisphere, and so on. What else?
Fun fact, being South African means knowing the difference between now, and just now.
Ah yes, thank you Jay. South Africa has also been the location shot of many feature films and TV shows. Everything from the debuting film The Gods Must Be Crazy, Academy Award winner Tsotsi, which I actually watched last night. Amazing movie. Academy Award nominated District 9 and Chappie. And of course, Mandela Long Walk to Freedom.
What's your takeaway from South African cinema?
There's some amazing comedy, which I feel like people don't talk about that much. I've been watching a lot of Leon Schuster movies. Yeah. And finally, the one thing that unifies all South Africans is Heritage Day, in which people are encouraged to wear their traditional costumes and express their background, and everyone joins in a braai together, no matter who you are. Usually, the festivals include an abundance of music. So to expound more on that, here's Keith. Blah, blah, blah. Wait, Keith isn't here. How's he gonna be in this video?
Hannah, I'm in Florida, and guess what? You can't cancel me! Anyways, South Africa, they have so much going on. Even their national anthem is sung in 5 different languages. Basically, from the beginning, traditional vocals were used, along with the marimba, the uhadi, the kora, and other assorted hand drums and harps. The first style of music to really take over the world, probably Marabi. Now, Marabi started out in the slums of Johannesburg, and Marabi is a style of music that is basically underground swing jazz. From there, world-renowned artists such as Soweto Gospel Choir and Lady Smith Black Mombazo have put South Africa on the map. Every South African will definitely know Johnny Clegg, the white Zulu who wrote songs in Zulu to criticize apartheid. Today, South Africa is known predominantly for its popularity in house music, and more specifically for the subgenres of Guam and I'm a piano. You guys told us to definitely mention those styles of music. Some other South African artists that you may be familiar with are Die Antwoord for their crazy hip-hop, South African-y fusion style of music. You guys might know Synth Peter, who I think has one of the greatest songs ever written. It's called Doof Doof. You should all go jam to Doof Doof. Yeah, that's it for me. Hope you guys had a good one. And back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Keith. All right, so this is the part where we talk about some of the famous people of South Africa, and here's South African geography Kolo to explain.
South Africa is as talented as it is diverse. A few notable South Africans that you geography peeps might be familiar with include Charlize Theron, John Carney, Trevor Noah.
I've heard of Charlize Theron. Oh yeah, of course, Trevor Noah. I mentioned before.
Sholto Copley, Gugu Mbatha Raw, Demi Lee Peters, Zozibenzi Tunzi, and last but not least, business magnate Elon Musk.
Oh yeah.
There are a number of South Africans who have excelled in different fields across the decades. These are but just a few South Africans that you geography peeps might be familiar with.
Thank you, Kolo. All right, and with that, we got to move on to the next segment. This video is getting kind of long. Catherine, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Friends of South Africa.
Alright, so South Africa and their clique, who's in and who's close? Well, it really depends on where you want to start on the globe, but put in a nutshell.
As a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, of course, South Africa has always had many ties to their Anglophone counterparts. New Zealand and Australia are kind of like the Southern Hemisphere trio that dominate the Tropic of Capricorn. These three have been trading and assisting each other for centuries and have friendly competitions. There was a bit of tension in the past, though, since many white South Africans choose to move to these countries in fear of policies they think might target them in South Africa. It got to the point where an Australian cabinet member even referred to them as refugees, which caused some backlash. But apart from that, overall, these three get along great. South Africa is also a member of the BRICS nations, the Association of Emerging Economies, being Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Together, these five have about a quarter of the world's land and about 40% of the world's population. They maintain a non-interference policy with mutual benefit plans. As a former British and Dutch colony, obviously the UK and Netherlands have cordial ties. Many South Africans visit or live in these countries. Interestingly, though, despite a heavy usage of the Afrikaans language, South Africa has rejected all offers to join the Dutch Language Union and today stands in special
Interesting.
partner status along with Indonesia. If you ask who South Africa's best friends are, though, you'd probably have to head a little closer home. Today, despite being fully independent sovereign nations, South Africans usually don't even see Lesotho or Eswatini as separate countries. South Africa even has more Sotho and Swazi people than the entire population of each country. Same goes for the Tswana people of Botswana. So they get these countries. In addition, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Namibia are also in the core group. They share a lot of the same ethnic groups like the Shona, Tsonga, and Khoisan. Granted, yes, there was a little bit of tension with Zimbabwe when they called for economic sanctions against South Africa during apartheid, and South Africa was pissed that Zimbabwe was hosting guerrilla rebels, and they didn't really like Zimbabwe's expropriation laws that kind of kicked out almost their entire white population, but nonetheless, they have good relations. As for Namibia, they actually were a part of South Africa until gaining independence in 1990, so there's a significant historical tie. Today, a huge portion of Namibia's economy is tied with South Africa. They even accept the South African rand as legal tender, and overall, they just really like each other when they meet up.
In conclusion, I think you should take it away. Catherine, I'm out.
So South Africa, I feel, is super unique in the way that we connect with one another. The words that we use, the lingo, just everything is very different to anything I've ever experienced in another country. I feel like South Africa is just like Fynbos in the way that it's not seen anywhere else in the world.
I like that. It's like Fynbos, nowhere else on Earth. And stay tuned, Spain is coming up next.
That was a pretty good video. Yeah, so I'm gonna watch the Flag/Fan Friday from South Africa.
Welcome back to Flag/Fan Friday. Hope you like the South Africa episode. How do you like this new setup we did? Yeah, this is my office. I got those black tarps, I put them up. The reason being because recently the YouTube space announced that they were closing all of their studios. We used to film there, now they're all closed permanently. So that put me in a dilemma. I'm like, okay, what do I do now? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy some fabric and do this to bring back the old school Geography Now aesthetic with the black backdrop. It's not as good, but I hope you like it. Anyway, this is the part where I talk about the small mistakes I made in the video or the things that didn't quite make it into the video. Number one, super embarrassing and weird. I accidentally said calamari instead of Kalahari in the physical geography section. I think the teleprompter auto-corrected it to calamari and I just read it like as it was. Sorry, life happens, move on. Second, it's boa cap, not boa cap, and it's load shedding, not load sharing. Poppin' Vorst, not poppin' forced. So many words, I don't. Fun fact, Johannesburg is the largest metropolitan city that is not built on the banks of a river or a lake or a major body of water or a coastline on the ocean. The Cullinan diamond, the largest gem quality rough diamond, was excavated here at over 3,100 carats. I don't even know what a carat is. Sounds important. And one controversial topic that you guys kind of were like, he didn't talk about it. Is he going to talk about it? Farmer thing. And here's the thing, like in a perfect world, I would love to have a platform where I could just like freely and simply report on things like this, but I kind of have to be careful because YouTube has a lot of rules on things that I can kind of mention that they would deem as not brand friendly. For example, my New Zealand episode was already partially demonetized because I talked about the thing that happened in Christchurch for like 5 seconds and they deemed it as not brand friendly and partially demonetized that episode. So I feel like I kind of have to be very careful with what I say on these videos because I don't know what YouTube's gonna do. I will open up the discussion, but I'm not gonna facilitate it. Yeah, but it's a very controversial thing going on in South Africa. But anyway, off of that, let's start talking about the flag. Okay, so without further ado. That was so fun filming the South Africa episode. I'm really glad that a lot of you guys participated. I loved hearing what you had to say about your country. Thank you, South African geography peeps. In any case, let's talk about this beauty here, shall we? The flag of South Africa has 6 bold colors, 2 horizontal bands of red and blue separated by a central green band with a white border which splits into a horizontal Y shape with arms extending to the corners of the hoist side. Within the interior of the Y shape, a black isosceles triangle can be found, separated by a narrow yellow or gold band. According to the official South African government, the South African flag is a synopsis of principal elements of the country's flag history, and there are no universal statements that have been attached to any of the colors. The only symbolic meaning behind the flag is the Y shape, which alludes to the convergence of diverse elements within South African society.
I always thought the flag was pretty cool.
And taking the road ahead into unity. So even though they say each of the colors don't specifically allude to anything, one of the most common unofficial interpretations is that it stands for all of the diverse people groups found within the country. Prior to apartheid years, South Africa used this flag, which was
I don't think that's a good flag.
Inspired by the Dutch Prince flag, but it also had 3 smaller flags in the center of it. The Union Jack, which symbolized the Old Cape Colony, and Natal, which were British, as well as the Oranje Vrystaat, or the Orange Free State, South African Republic flag, all together joined into one union, and this flag was the result. You know, it's funny, a lot of people ask me, like, Barbs, what's your favorite flag? And I try not to show any bias. But I have to admit, I mean, look at the South African flag. It's just like, it's colorful, bold, symmetrical, powerful. I have to say, I think it would probably be in like one of my top 3.
I think it's a really cool flag as well.
This is a really cool flag, I gotta admit. I really like it. I don't know, you won me over. In any case, let's move on to the coat of arms. The coat of arms depicts a shield, which is also a national image of identity and symbolizes the spiritual defense of the country. On the shield are 2 San human figures to show the original inhabitants of South Africa and symbolizing unity. On the side are ears of wheat, symbolizing the growth and development and potential of the nation. The elephant tusks symbolize wisdom, strength, and eternity. The spear and knobkerrie, probably butchered that, sorry, it's the first time I've even seen that word, are for defense and authority, yet they are laid down, symbolizing peace. Above it is the King Protea flower, the national flower, standing for the beauty of the land and the integration of the earth and those that tend to it. The secretary bird is for the growth and speed of the nation, and it is a powerful bird that hunts snakes, symbolizing the protection of the nation against enemies. It is also seen as a messenger from heaven, almost like a symbol of divine majesty. On top of it is the rising sun, relaying the brightness and splendor and energy of the country, as well as the promise of rebirth and willpower. Finally, the motto at the bottom, written in the Khoisan language of the, I'm guessing it's Itam people. Let me try this. Itara Ilke, which means diverse people unite. I don't know, I've never studied a Khoisan language. I'm assuming that exclamation mark thing is a click. I don't know. But yeah, that's the coat of arms. Of course, prior to that, they had a bunch of other coat of arms, blah, blah, blah. We've done this so many times. You know what it is. The colonial years and blah. You know what I'm going to say. We've done this so many times. All right, and with that, let's just go on to the next part. Geography fan mail time.
Okay, that was really fun. And I just wanted to include that at the end. Yeah, very enjoyable. Yeah, South Africa is damn interesting, I would say. Let's check out some of the comments. Fun fact, Johannesburg is also the largest and most populated city in the world that isn't located on a river, lake, or coastline. Neat. Bob's, Spain is coming up next. South Sudan, I'm fine. I'm not African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in me. Interesting. It's so weird listening to these Afrikaans words as a Dutchman. I'm like, you're saying that wrong, but then realized I have no clue how to say it. How many capitals do you want? South Africa, yes. Welcome to South Africa, where knowing 3 languages is expected by age 3. Conversation, well, she knows 2 languages, but still. Conversation will spark up in the oddest of places, and vote-sec is a word that unites all 11 languages, all 11 official languages. Or was it 12? Yeah, it's pretty damn cool. Very much enjoyed the video, and if you enjoyed my reaction, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And comment down below with your thoughts and recommendations for future videos. Thanks for watching.